What's going on, NBA YouTube? Mr. Andres back with y'all with another award edition. We're looking at the Defensive Player of the Year. And this could be a toss up because the arguments are fun. I love arguments on these one. This is a very good argument. But of course, if you're new to the channel, please hit that like, comment, subscribe. Your boy trying to get it up there. You know what I'm saying? Trying to get it up there as best as I can. No diddy. Let's talk about this though. What is the defensive player of the year? What does that mean? Defensive player of the year. It's kind of hard to actually suggest what defensive player of the year truly means, right? Because in NBA history, there's there's times to where players just doesn't have the same defensive impact as their competitors, but yet they can win the defensive player of the year. Usually when you're defensive player of the year, you're all NBA first team. Well, there's been a couple times to where the defensive player of the year winner is all defensive second team. So that's like, okay, so you're saying that they're not even the top five best defensive player, but however you gave them the defensive player of the year. Quite honestly, to be honest with you, I don't even know how exactly you judge the defensive player of the year. A lot of people would tell me advanced stats. Okay, advanced stats. I don't do that. I don't look at advanced stats. Why? Because one, I don't really care about advanced stats. That's one, and two, I'll just watch the game. It's eye test versus stats, and that tells me whatever. And I know there's a lot of people out there on YouTube and stuff that's like, hey, you got to use the stats, man. The stats help it out. Okay, I understand the stats could help it out, but also I can tell and watch the games that can tell me great defensive players. Oh yeah, that player is a great defensive player. Oh no, that player sucks as a defensive player, and so, et cetera, et cetera. Now, of course, if you are an NBA 2K player and you just strictly play that type of game, what I've seen is I don't think they even know the way they do it. They use based off of steals, blocks, and I think rebounding is how they determine whether a player is a good defensive player or not. In real life, I don't know exactly how they can determine who's a better defensive player between a guard, a wing, and a center. And that's the big argument right here because, of course, was it last year? No, 2 years ago, 2022. In 2022, Marcus Smart won Defensive Player of the Year. And I think the majority of the people were like, okay, but he's not a better defender than Jrue Holiday. And I think the whole argument is that Jrue Holiday is a way better defender than Marcus Smart. So how come Marcus Smart is allowed to win the Defensive Player of the Year and not someone like a Jrue Holiday? And then the argument for the small forwards and the forwards and stuff, Jaren Jackson Jr. just won it last year, and he didn't average double-digit rebounding. He was underneath. I think he was averaging like what, seven. So it can't just be that. It can't be just that simple to be defensive player of the year. So I'm very confused about exactly how can you say that's the defensive player of the year. I don't know. There are a handful of people that can be defensive player of the year this year, right? The first person that comes to mind happens to be the man I got winning the rookie of the year. If you haven't seen that video, you need to go watch it. Victor Wembanyama. As I talked about in that video, when he's on the court, the Spurs have like a top five defensive, his top five in defensive shares and he's defensive. Off the court, they're bottom five. So how do you determine what he does defensively outside of being protecting the paint? We know he's locked down on that paint. We know that. We all know that he's locking down that paint. So it's not a fly zone. We know that for a fact. You turn around, a player like Alex Caruso on the Chicago Bulls is also a really good defender player. Can be an all defensive. He was all defensive last year, I want to say. All defensive last year, and I think he played less than 30, maybe less than 25 minutes per game, and he was all defensive team member. So how is that possible? And we know he get after it, but you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you determine that? So Victor Wembanyama, Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso's not really in this conversation to win it. I think he's just one of those honorable mentions. Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is supposed to be this. I think people want him to be excellent offensively, excellent defensively. He's supposed to be the total package. But at some point, you have to give it up. Which one do you want Anthony Davis to be? That's the question. You can't have him beat both of them. You know what I'm saying? So Anthony Davis, we know Anthony Davis is an elite defender, and I think right now with the Lakers not having a legit center to play next to him, he can't be what he normally was in the Pelicans uniform, which was he's the roamer on defense where he can help out on certain matchups and stuff. He can't do that right now. Right now he's playing the center position, something that the Lakers need to fix, but we'll talk about that when we get to our teams and stuff like that. Bam Adebayo is also the Miami Heat's best defensive player. Elite. He's an elite defender too. But he's also told that he needs to start shooting the ball more. He needs to go more offensively. But it's like Bam's program, Bam is focused on defense more than anything first, and then everything else comes behind it. Miles Turner, throughout the years, he was always said that he was supposed to be the defensive player of the year. I think this year he's not. I don't think this year he was that good this year and defensively minded. I think he was good, but just not like elite where we can like, yeah, that's defensive player of the year. But then now we have. I'm trying to think of another guard. I like Lou Dort. I'm a Thunder fan, of course. I'm gonna bring up a Thunder player almost every video. sorry. But Lou Dort, he's a good defensive player too. He get the charges drawn. He's in your grill. There's a Dort chamber is what we call it. He's in your grill. He's making it difficult for you. He's all up on you. He's doing everything he can that's legal on the defensive side of the ball. And I think that's a great defensive-minded player also. Another player that reminds me of that was Andre Roberson back in the day and Thabo Sefolosha back in the day. Good defensive players that were all defensive members and stuff that played the guards position, and they were really great defensive players and stuff. But it's like once again, how do you determine that? Because you look at their stats doesn't scream out monster defense. But the advanced numbers, I would assume, will be on their side. Once again, I'm not 100% on the whole defensive thing because it's flawed. Because they'll tell you that LeBron James is an elite defender right now still. And a lot of people still believe he's an elite defender right now. But it's like, I say, okay, compare this LeBron James defensively to 2009 LeBron James defensively and 2013 LeBron James defensively. I think we all know that if we rank them, we know that the Los Angeles Lakers version of LeBron James is nowhere near close to those other two defensively. But advanced stats and stuff would tell you otherwise, or they'll tell you, oh, it's really close. It's really difficult. It's so difficult that by default at times I'm gonna give Defensive Player of the Year to Rudy Gobert. Why? Because I know what Rudy Gobert does defensively. Last year they struggled because Cat got that major injury and he was out, and they didn't have time to gel that very first year to understand who's supposed to be playing what role and how exactly having. It was a couple games where I'm watching them, and you on a fast break, both of them are running to the paint, leaving somebody wide open. But now that's being fixed after a full good year of training with each other and knowing stuff. And Rudy Gobert got back on his defensive minded stuff. Mix that in with having, and even though he's in advanced age, Mike Conley as a nice defensive player. Anthony Edwards continue to get better on that side of the ball. Jaden McDaniels is a good defensive player. Naz Reid, when he comes off the bench, he's a solid enough defensive player, and he's able to really feel like he's in his absolute best version of himself as a defensive player of the year. And I hate to do that, though. I would hate to say it's just Rudy Gobert, but Rudy Gobert most likely have all the stats that points to him to saying that he's defensive player of the year. Not only that, we know that in that paint is lockdown mode because he's going to make you think twice before coming inside that paint to deal with scoring. We've seen it. We all seen it before. We've seen it throughout all his years as defensive player of the year. This will be his fourth one. So we know he's elite. We know. You just don't give it to him just to give it to him. We know he's elite. But once again, I'm lost. I'm lost on the defensive side of the ball outside of just watching the game and stuff. I don't know the stats. I don't know any of that crap. So I need y'all to do me a favor. Not only do I want you to tell me who you got for the defensive player of the year, and you can't tell. I'll say this: you can't go wrong with anybody. Hell, you can probably say it's freaking No, I don't know. You can tell me any great defensive player right now, and I'm like, yeah, he could be defensive player of the year. I don't know because I don't know the stats. I don't know how you can tell who's defensive player of the year. Just me. Just put that down in the comment section who you got defensive player of the year. Because somebody explain to me in better details. You have to dumb it down for me. I'm a little slow. So dumb it down for me about how do we get the Defensive Player of the Year and how do they decide it? That'll be very helpful. Y'all hit that like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the final NBA award video.